Fritz, get up, for God's sake, get up! They've killed Fritz! They've killed Fritz!
The Flight of Dragons is a 1982 animated movie by Arthur Rankin and Jules Bass, best known for the 1977 version of The Hobbit and unsettling stop-motion Christmas specials that still haunt my dreams at night. We all have media that made a huge impact on us as children, and while not a lot of people saw Flight of Dragons, it is worth remembering. The story is about Carolinus, the Green Wizard. His domain is the forest and natural world. He exists in the realm of magic, but the world is changing around him, and he finds his magic is waning. His daughter, Melisande, recommends he calls a meeting with his brothers. Lo Tajau, the Golden Wizard, I'm just going to reach right past that. He's the Wizard of Light and Air, and Solarius, the Blue Wizard, whose domain is the sea and space. The last wizard is Omadon, the Red Wizard, voiced by James Earl Jones, making him one of the most iconic villains ever. At least if you saw Flight of Dragons.
My fool brother has just realized the inevitable. Well, I'll go. It should prove amusing.
And really one of the main reasons that this movie is so memorable for the few of us who saw it. The four wizards discuss the problem. The trouble is that the world of technology is also bringing with it the new world of science, logic, and reason, and it's eroding the magical world, pushing into its boundaries and causing skepticism, even among people who are just straight up looking at a wizard. Show them your dragon, Carolinus. The problem with this in the narrative of the movie is that people need magic to inspire them to innovate. And without it, humans will become lost and dull. Carolinus offers a peaceful solution, that the brothers combine the last of their powers to create a refuge for the magical world and its creatures. That way, humans can still access the world of magic through their dreams and fantasy, but Omadon is not having it.
Eat science and logic with a foolish retirement village?
Not defeat, my brother, enhance. The world, though it does not realize it, cannot do without magic.
I mean, he's not wrong. It is a retirement village, but his idea is to wage war on the world of technology and wreak so much havoc that it cripples humanity, sending us into a new dark age. He's essentially kicking the can down the road, hoping to push us back into the primordial mud for a few more years. Omadon leaves on his dragon Breog. Yes, I remember the dragon's name. I really liked this movie. And the three good wizards are left like, well, shit. So the omnipotent power of this world is called Antiquity, and Antiquity forbids the brothers from waging war on each other directly, so Carolinus must inspire a quest in the young human Peter and send him to thwart Omadon's plot. Now, on the other hand, Wizards by Ralph Bakshi is a 1977 animated feature with mutant Nazis and more tits and ass than is really necessary. A lot of people didn't see Wizards as a kid because they had good parents. Luckily for me, I had no such barrier. It is categorized as family, which, okay. In the aftermath of nuclear conflict, Earth is shrouded in radioactive clouds for 2 million years, blocking out the sun's rays. As the dust settled, a new world emerged, one where the survivors of humanity had become mutants, and the mythical beings of legend, trolls, fairies, elves, and dwarves, reclaimed their place as the true inheritors of the planet, and these magical races founded a realm called Montagar. For 3 millennia, peace reigned in Montagar, until the fairy queen, Delia— that's such a boring name for a fairy queen. It's like, until the fairy queen— Carolyn from accounting. I'm sorry. She gives birth to twin sorcerers, the benevolent Avatar and his twisted sibling, Black Wolf. Once their mother passed away, Black Wolf made a claim for power. Avatar, we are still in the opening crawl by the way, bested him in magical combat, and Black Wolf fled Montagar, swearing to return and establish a world dominated by his army of mutants. As the movie begins, Black Wolf is at it again, but he has a new weapon. genuine, honest-to-God propaganda that he uncovers from the rubble of our civilization. Bakshi and I really are kindred spirits in that way. I too struggle with subtlety. Okay, why have I grouped these two movies together? Well, because they came out around the same time in that pocket when the 70s was ending and the 80s were beginning. And in a lot of ways, they are similar films. Bakshi takes a much more raw approach than Rankin Bass, but both deal with the tenuous balance between technology and the natural world, a conflict that is painfully relevant in modern day. In both movies, magic is a stand-in for nature itself. They're about good wizards battling evil wizards. The villain is an authoritarian hell-bent on influencing humanity towards its worst impulses. And the central conflict of both films highlights the concerns of the era they were made. This was a time when environmental issues were at the forefront of a lot of people's minds. Consider that lead had only been banned in house paint in 1978, and leaded gasoline wouldn't be banned until 1996, meaning I was alive for 11 years just breathing leaded air, and I try not to think about it. The first Earth Day was in 1970, and that was the beginning of the Environmental Protection Agency. The Clean Water Act was in 1972, the Endangered Species Act in 1973. This legislation was largely bipartisan, if you can believe it, and came after continued major demonstrations through the 60s and 70s. But even with all these positive changes, there was still a strong feeling that more needed to be done. Hi, video editing Maggie here. Listen, I seem to have skipped over this a bit in my script. Wanted to point it out. Wizards is also very, very much about the Vietnam War, which ended in 1975. This movie came out in 1977. The Vietnam War was still very much within the public's consciousness. It was still being felt all around the country. And so, yes, that is also part of it. It is a blend of these environmental themes that I'm talking about and also the Vietnam War, but I wasn't writing a script about the Vietnam War. Therefore, it is irrelevant. Not really, but you know what I mean. It felt wrong not to talk about it. Anyway, back to the video. What you see in both movies from this time is a feeling that the world is sick in some way. You see it in the wastelands of Omadon's realm and in Black Wolf's territory. Both films are supposedly aimed at families with kids with anti-war and environmentalist messages. The main difference between the two films is how they handle that message and the resolution to the conflict. In Flight of Dragons, Peter is able to overcome the power of Omadon with the simple fact that he is scientifically impossible. His mass, his power, the horrific monster he's become is a pure fiction, and Peter denies him. He rejects his existence, thereby denying all magic and draining Omadon of the power he has over him.
No magic but mine can move the sun. I command it.
Not magic, gashead. Mathematics. And that's the answer to why antiquity chose me. You are magic, mere illusion. I am science, logic, and the truth.
In Wizards, Avatar shoots Black Wolf with a gun.
I'm glad you changed your last name, you son of a bitch.
Bang. Okay. In his video on Bakshi's Lord of the Rings, Dan Olson describes Wizards as, "It's just a meandering mess. Unimportant skits drag on for minutes, action scenes repeat stock battle clips endlessly, and important moments resolve in seconds. While less extreme than Wizards, this is unfortunately the main failing of Lord of the Rings. Bakshi was, for most of the 70s, both extremely busy juggling multiple productions simultaneously and also allegedly on a lot of drugs. It's just not a state of mind that's really conducive to making a film that maintains a tight focus for 2.5 hours, and it shows." And at first I felt pretty defensive. From what I remembered, Wizards was an incredibly cool science fantasy epic that I still quote to this day. They killed Fritz! What the hell does Olsen know anyway? Was he like a movie expert or something? Also, he's Canadian, so there's that too. Anyway, then I rewatched Wizards. Wizards is a movie that a lot of people remember fondly, owing almost exclusively to the fact that they haven't seen it in a long time. I think a lot of its charm is in the sheer weirdness of the art style, putting it in stark contrast to the safe familiarity of Disney. For me, it was the first time I got to see animation that was dark, violent, and overtly sexual. And when you're a kid, that's really cool and transgressive. But despite my childhood nostalgia, it does not hold up, and I was forced to eat my words about Dan Olsen. It's not just the meandering plot, uneven animation, and perverted way that Bakshi draws women. It sets up a compelling idea, but doesn't follow through with that idea. Avatar is the good guy. He's the peaceful wizard. He has no interest in anything except smoking, nature, and his big titty goth girlfriend. He essentially fills the same role as Carolinus in Flight of Dragons. So in my opinion, the on-theme resolution for the story wouldn't be Avatar destroying Black Wolf. It would be Black Wolf destroying himself. There is so much World War II imagery in Wizards, and that war was not won by one guy blam-blamming mustache badman. It was a vast international effort done with the cooperation of many countries. And in the end, Mustache Badman was the one who did the blam-blamming to himself. He died in an underground bunker, a pathetic coward. For Black Wolf to die the way he did, through the violent actions of a peaceful character, undercuts the imagery and themes set up throughout the story. Now, I don't want to criticize Wizards too much. Animation is difficult and expensive. It's hard to make a movie sober, let alone doing just a ton of cocaine. That admission alone explains a lot about the movie. There is a reason Wizards has stuck with people as long as it has. It is stark and visceral, and while I still think Flight of Dragons is a better movie overall, more people remember Wizards. Flight of Dragons' approach to the conflict is more tempered. It sees science as inevitable and even positive. Early in the story, it's set up that Carolinus has stomach pains that he doesn't understand and that magic alone can't seem to cure. Later, Peter suggests the problem might be ulcers and recommends Carolinus try drinking milk. Carolinus is also seen just yelling at a watermill. It's very old man yells at cloud, and it shows that the world of magic, while beautiful and full of wonder, is also a world of ignorance. Smeargle the dragon struggles to teach Peter how dragons breathe fire. Peter turns into a dragon, by the way. He struggles because he simply does not know how it works. It just does. This is why after defeating Omadon, Peter is locked out of the world of magic forever, because once you know something, you can't unknow it. You can't believe in fairies once you know they're not real. And that is a loss, one that can be very painful. If I have one quibble with Flight of Dragons, it's that Melisande shouldn't have followed Peter to the real world. It's trite, it's stupid. You can't reject the fantasy and still get the princess in the end. It undercuts this sacrifice and is generally just dumb, but it's also an expected trope of the genre, so, whatever. Also, can we talk about this cover? Garbage. Two wildly different, yet quite similar films, ones I remember fondly as I was an insufferable nerd, and remain so. I hope you enjoyed this video on Wizards and Flight of Dragons. Please subscribe to the channel and to my Patreon. Until next time, team.